Welcome to another episode of Called to Serve, where we profile the lives of people who God has called to serve the church through various ministries. This past week, we heard the news that Bishop Dowd has announced a new Vicar General for the Diocese of Sault Ste. Marie. He is Father Roch Martin, and Father Roch is joining us today on this episode of Called to Serve. So, Father Roch, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here, Daniele, Father.
So tell us right off the bat, before we get into your journey a little bit, what was it like when you were approached to be the new Vicar General for the diocese?
To be honest, I was sure that would not be a question asked of me. I was under the impression there's so many other priests who are able to assume that function, and I thought I would be safe from being asked that particular role to take on those particular responsibilities. So my first reaction when Bishop Dowd approached me and asked if I would be open to accept his invitation to become Vicar General, I automatically reacted to are you thinking really of me? Are you sure about that? And he responded, of course, yes. I reflected and prayed upon it and consulted and so on. So I said, well, what does it entail? Like, what would be the responsibility and kind of a job description of what that would be about? He gave me a global idea, which corresponded with what I had in mind, right? Because we've seen Vicar Generals before. I kind of asked him to give me a moment to reflect on it and think about it. And I was trying to find a way to see if I could really fit into that in a short moment, thinking fast, of course. Then I asked him, well, that could be a new challenge for me and something that I'd be willing to try. I rarely back out of challenges. So I said I would be willing to try it, to accept it, but at the condition that I can come to you anytime, that you're there to help me, guide me, assist me. And of course, he responded with a big yes. Of course, he told me he'd be always available to guide me and assist me in that new role that I'm taking on. So I'm basically in front of, well, what's left to prevent me from saying yes? So basically I told him, well, if you're there to, of course, to guide me and assist me, coach me, I would be, happy and willing to serve in that capacity. And of course, I know the diocesan team a bit. We all know the people who are working there. So I had an idea that team is there as well to they've been through all kinds of experiences in the past. I'm sure that they're there to help me and assist me in many ways as well. So the first reaction was one of surprise, and I couldn't believe he was asking me to take on that role.
Well, many people are happy that you accepted that role. So we're very grateful for your yes to serve in that capacity. You were talking about, understanding the role of the Vicar General, because since the news broke that you were the new Vicar General, I know a lot of people have been asking, what is a Vicar General? So can you explain to us what the role of a Vicar General is?
I would summarize it as being basically an assistant to the bishop, right? Of course, with canon law in the church, they gave the Vicar General is given certain powers and so on. But basically, the bishop is always the one in charge of the diocese. He's the pastor, and he takes on the role of leadership. And I'm there to assist him in whatever ways I can, to be there to help him out in his responsibilities as a pastor of the shepherd of the whole diocese. It is indeed a role that becomes one of service and of assisting the bishop. Now, of course, if there's moments when something prevents the bishop from being able to exercise his responsibilities, I know that the Vicar General will have to step in at those times. But we have a young bishop, a healthy bishop, so I trust everything should go very well.
Yeah, and those are some fun facts about a vicar general. So that if the bishop is incapacitated or something happens to him, the vicar general does step forward. But also something that I learned that I didn't know before this announcement came out was that when you take on the vicar general role, you are now named Monsignor.
And of course, that has come up a lot this week since the announcement was made public. And I've had people tell me, we're still going to call you by your name. I understand, and I don't really. I feel quite comfortable. I don't really need to be called Monsignor at all. My name is the name given to me in my baptism. I'm quite proud of it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at who Father Roch is. So I know you were born in Sturgeon Falls, Ontario. What was your upbringing like? What was your family life like? And what were sort of the things that you were involved in as a young person?
I was raised in a family that is a close-knit family. We did a lot of things together. We, of course, are close, and we do most of our activities as a family. When I was growing up, our family would certainly have moments where we would go out for our vacations together, trips, family trips. Whenever one of us was moving on and needed help from another member of the family, we would all chip in and all get involved. And of course, I'm the oldest of two sisters. And when the two my sisters were married, there is a tradition when the oldest is not married, he is asked to dance on his bare socks during the reception. So I did it twice with big woolen socks they had knitted for me. And I told my nieces and nephews not to turn to me to do that for them. I did it twice, that's enough.
That's it.
And of course, I'm not doing it for the others. Our family was always sharing moments together. We were a very close family. And the extended family is very much a part of that reality. I remember I have great memories of moments at Christmas, Easter, or any other moments in the summer, long weekends, when the whole family would gather together, and we would, of course, have a meal together and share moments and laughter and joy and celebrate the life and our family life together. It was a very positive and beautiful, blessed upbringing. I was blessed. I give thanks for that. Yes, I thank God for that.
That's really wonderful to hear. So obviously, with this wonderful upbringing that you had, your family also had an influence in sort of fostering faith in your life too, just given the path that you followed in your life. So what was that? What was your faith journey like growing up and maybe as a young teen and young adult?
Our family was very involved in our parish community. I know that my parents were involved in parish committees. My mother was responsible for the altar boys for some years. We had, like everyone else, we had our routine. The mass we attended was the Saturday night mass. And of course, we always sat in the same pew. And that was a tradition to me. And then when time came when I was old enough to become an altar server, well, I was very much encouraged to do so. And I served Mass for many years. And I also joined the choir. There was a youth choir at our parish, and I sang in the choir for many years as well. This was really the reality of my life, a family connected, very closely connected to the parish community. And that way, we got to know our parish priest very personally, because my parents would love to invite them over for meals, and of course we had many priests over. And whenever we had them over, of course my grandparents were invited. As I was saying, we're a close family, so we would always have them over as well to exchange and spend time to get to know Father, and he can get to know the family quite a bit. So basically, our family was a family that had at heart keeping the faith alive in our unit, in our family.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised to hear that, because the relationships you fostered with, even with your parish priest, is something that you've done in your ministry. I know your parishioners love you so much, and you have those relationships with your parishioners too. So I'm not surprised that you had that experience too, growing up. When you felt God calling you to serve as a priest, I think you were teaching at the time before you went to the seminary, if I'm not mistaken. Can you tell us a little bit about so you chose a career in teaching, and then you kind of followed God's call for you?
I left high school to go right to philosophy, which is the first set of studies, the first we study philosophy before we study theology. And being young, as I walked out of high school, they asked, we were 4 seminarians at that time. They've asked us to stay here in Sudbury instead of going away to study down south, Ottawa, Toronto, London, whatever. They've invited us to stay here in Sudbury, and we did our philosophy at the University of Sudbury. And of course, that way, we were close to home, and of course, the bishop was able to keep a close eye on how we were doing and how our studies went and so on. So I studied with the Jesuits, started there. And then I went on to theology, and for that, the bishop sent me to St. Paul in Ottawa. So I studied with the Oblates over there for a while. And after my studies were all over, they were done, I was quite young still. So the seminary thought it wise that I take time to go experience life and see if there's a career that would be one that would interest me. And of course, teaching was always something that I felt in my heart was part of me. So away I went to Teachers College, and I ended up teaching in a Catholic school in Leamington. So that's near Windsor, for those who are not sure where Leamington is. And I taught there for 4 years, and I loved it. I really loved teaching. I was really in my element. And then there was always in the back of my mind that I felt called to serve as a priest, and that was confirmed by people, family members or friends of the family, and I always kept that in the back of my mind, and I wondered when and how can I take care of that transition, leaving teaching, going back to the seminary to finish up my seminary studies. And that's when that particular summer, I was, of course, I was back home for the summer, and I get a call from our pastor at my parish, and he says to me, would you be available to come over for supper on this particular date? Oh, definitely, for sure, I would be happy to. So of course, I meet him at the rectory, and when I get to the dining room, well, there's Bishop Plouffe. And of course, this was, I understand now what was going on, but at that point, it was just a social call. He was just interested in meeting me and seeing how I was doing and so on and so forth. And after our discussion, I understood that God was calling, and I decided to. I told the bishop I can't leave the teaching position just like that. He understood. I went back to teach my last year, and I told, of course, the school board and everyone that I would be going back to finish my studies, which, of course, surprised me because of their reaction was one of, we knew that would come one day. So somehow they had sensed it. They knew, they understood that even though I loved teaching and I enjoyed it very much, they knew that there was something else working within me.
Yeah, for sure. And the gifts that God gives everyone, people use in the priesthood. So I'm sure you have relied on the good gifts that you've had teaching to be a good teacher priest in many ways, right?
It has served me well many times.
Yeah.
Indeed.
This year, you will be ordained 26 years to the priesthood. So
Yes.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And looking back on those 26 years, I know from our conversations we've had that you've spent most of your ministry within the greater Sudbury area of the Diocese of Sault Ste. Marie in many different parishes.
Yes.
Looking back on those, I know it's hard because it's such a lengthy amount of time, but what are some blessings that really stand out for you in your ministry?
The blessings that I experienced through those years and in the parishes, it always came through people. That's the wonderful part of our work. People are coming to us because a lot of times they want to be helped or enlightened, or they feel they might have a heavy burden and they need assistance to help them through these moments. And these were the moments where great friendships were born, were created. I remember accompanying a family who had a teenager who was going through tough times. I never felt that I was able to say the things that were exactly what that person needed to hear, except after the fact, they came to me and they said, what you said was exactly what he needed to hear. And then I remember I just came to my mind that, well, I didn't say that to them, but it wasn't, basically it came from God, because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to deal with that situation for that person. I basically just prayed, listened, and offered a few words of support. And then that family, of course, has become a great, uh, so grateful, and we've been friends. We've been in contact for all these years. Many of the blessings that I received came that way. And of course, when we celebrate joyous moments and occasions, weddings, these are other moments that are beautiful, quite wonderful blessings as well. There are couples that for whom I've celebrated their marriage after spending a lot of time together preparing for that moment. And they still correspond with me and let me know how things are going, and send me pictures of the children who are now themselves adults, and so on and so forth. So I give thanks for these blessings, and I realize truly that it is God working through us. That's so clear to me.
Yeah, and you've had many moments where you've been moved from parish to parish. You've met so many people. You're in the middle of the lives of so many people that you ministered to, and now with this new appointment of moving to the Vicar General, like God has brought you on a journey, but blessed you through all those moments, right? What would you say to someone who is considering being a priest, if maybe feels God calling them and they're just not ready to make the next step? What would you say to someone like that?
I would certainly tell them that life as a priest, let's be truthful, there are challenges. There are moments where you find it kind of difficult. But I would also tell them that it is a truly blessed vocation. I would compare it to people who are choosing to be married and to raise a family. There are challenges, but there are so many blessings that come along and just lighten the moments that are heavier to carry. I would certainly tell them not to hesitate, to really reflect on the calling, and to choose to go speak about it to someone you can trust, someone who would be able not to orient you in either way, but to listen to you very carefully and to help you put the finger on the fact that God is really calling you. You should consider it seriously, or maybe he's calling you to something else. I think it's important not to keep it to yourself. And of course, pray, ask God to enlighten you, ask for his Spirit to guide you, and of course make it something that you're going to really think about and exploit. Don't push it aside, because if that's truly what God is asking of you, he'll give you everything you need to go ahead. He promised that in the gospel, right? So don't worry about, I'm not good enough for that. I don't think that's something I could do. We all certainly at the beginning felt that the ministry is such a large field to work in. It does sometimes make us feel like we're not adequate or able to take it on. But you know what? somehow we are able to go through the responsibilities that are given to us, because he is there with us, and there's always people around us working with us, and we're never alone in this big project. Never alone.
Yeah, thanks for that. Just as we wrap up here, you've been the pastor of Saint Jean de Brebeuf in Sudbury just a little less than 2 years, and so I'm sure they will miss you greatly as you move on to your new role. Especially, that we know from what you have told us that the relationships you build with people are so important to you, right? So that will be something that you miss. But what is something that maybe you're looking forward to in this new role, working alongside the bishop as his Vicar General?
I'm certain that this new position, this new function that I'm going to assume on August 1st is going to be a great change from what I'm used to, from what I've been doing for the past 25 years, almost 26. I'm certain that it'll be something that I will have to learn and to adjust to. I understand that, and that's fine. I mean, that's part of basically every time I was appointed to a new parish. I had to, even though it's same ministry, we're a parish priest, but it's a different community, and so on and so forth. So you're always starting over, getting to know the people, and so on. So I would imagine that same thing will take place as I begin my new responsibility with the diocese as a Vicar General. I think what I could bring, that's, I believe, is one of my traits. I'm able to take my time before I give an opinion. I reflect on it. I pray on it. That, I think, might be something that will be a tool that will help me, because there are certainly big decisions and serious responsibilities that come about. We can't just act on those on the snap of a finger. The other thing that I believe I will be able to bring as a positive to the diocesan team would be the fact that I'm a person who likes to be organized and has a method in doing things. Sometimes that gets in the way, but a lot of times it saves you a lot of work and a lot of trouble. So hopefully all these tools will be something that I will be able to offer as a way to assist the bishop, not get in his way and create more problems for him, but help him and solve them and help him work through them. And of course, my faith, right? I have confidence in God. I've seen it so many times. He's been there for me all the time. So I trust in him and the people who will be there with me to work out this new responsibility in office and ministry that I'm taking on.
Yeah, without a doubt, you've been a great pastor to so many people in many parishes around the greater Sudbury area over your priesthood. And now you're going to share those gifts that you have to pastor people throughout the entire diocese. So, we're rooting for you. And I know many parishioners, many priests in our diocese admire you and respect you. And so they were very happy to hear that you were chosen for this position. And so we're grateful that you accepted it. And we're going to keep you in our prayers as well as we move into this new position. So thank you very much for sharing your time with us today. I know this has been a busy time. People trying to reach out like, oh, tell us the news, and people trying to congratulate you and reach you and then cry and say, we're going to miss you and all those different things. So we really appreciate you giving us the time. And like I said, we're going to continue to pray for you as well as you begin your new ministry this summer.
Thank you, Father Daniele. I'm counting on those prayers very much. And of course, I know I have everyone, the support of a great team of brother priests and colleagues in the diocese, brothers and sisters in Christ. I know we have a wonderful diocesan community, so I give thanks to that. And I thank you for having me here today and to allow me to share a little bit about my life and myself. Thank you, Father Daniele.
Yeah, thank you. Merci beaucoup. And merci to all of you for watching this episode as we learn more about Father Roch, our new Vicar General for the Diocese of Sault Ste. Marie. If you or somebody you know might feel a call to serve the Lord, whether through the priesthood or religious life, contact our Office of Vocations or contact a priest or sister that you admire to talk about it as well. Keep Father Roch in your prayers, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Called to Serve.